around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. And guess what? Napoli remains on top, and there will be people that will be saying that Napoli are not playing great, that Meret made a mistake, that this, that, and the other. But a third of the way through this season, 12 games, three tough matches away from home: Milan, Juve, and Inter. And guess what, guys? Napoli is on top after being 10th last season. That is a fact. That is something that Conte and the boys have achieved after 12 games. And it is by no means a small feat. Are we playing amazing football? No. But what did you expect? What did you expect having Conte on the bench? If you are sat here complaining about how Napoli plays, knowing that you have Conte on the bench, it's like going and buying a car and complaining it has four wheels. If you wanted two wheels, you buy a moto. We have Conte. This is what Conte does. All right? He gets the points he needs to be on top. And that's exactly what Napoli's doing. We could have had more today if it wasn't for Meret. The referee was definitely not on our side. There were so many occasions, apart from the penalty, which is the softest penalty I've probably ever seen. But there were so many occasions of offsides not being given, for example, and then those actions would lead into corners and we had to defend them, and it just contributed to Inter piling on pressure. And if Inter had scored off any of those corners, it would have been a goal by Inter because the VAR would not have been able to come into play with that. So, guys, this was not an easy game. Spalletti lost against Inter away from home in the year we won the Scudetto. And we didn't play well in that game. We played really bad. We suffered Inter's physicality. In this game, we at least were able to manage Inter. Inter, in my opinion, played better, yes, but I never felt that they were going to score. It happened with the Çalhanoğlu goal from extremely long range where Meret really should have done better, but I never felt like they were slicing us open. It always felt like we had all their attacks under control. So, to be honest, I struggle to see the negative in this performance. Let me repeat, I struggle to see the negatives in this performance apart from individual players such as Lukaku, such as a little bit Meret. I was a lot more worried, as L.K is saying, against Atalanta, where we were battered. But then I rewatched Atalanta, guys. I watched it again after I made the video. After having processed the 3-0. Guys, the first goal, the ball is ping-ponging around the box. We could have done a lot better to deal with it, but it was quite lucky for that ball to land exactly on Lookman. It's not like Atalanta made this great maneuver that sliced us open. The 2-0 we should have really avoided, but that is a result of Atalanta getting that first goal, right? We put too many bodies forward and we got cut out. That's bad, but it only happens because we're already losing 1-0. And then the third one, guys, the game's over, it's 2-0, and the third one comes in the 93rd minute. So yes, it was a 3-0 loss, but I think the scoreline paints a much worse picture than what it maybe was. Overall, guys, I think we suffer from this idea that if you are gonna win a Scudetto, you have to play champagne football and you need to be 10 points ahead by Christmas and 20 points ahead by April. No, no. No. There's more than one way to win a Scudetto. We've lost many Scudettos against teams that play exactly like this. that play exactly like how Napoli are playing right now. Conte's teams played like this, right? And I think we are a little bit biased because we think, wow, the last time we won a Scudetto, we had to be so dominant, have so many points of advantage that that's the only way we can win because it's the only way that it worked in the past. And so that's the only way that it will work in the future. And I just don't agree with that. I think you can definitely win a Scudetto playing like this, making sure you don't lose against your biggest rivals away from home. Allegri said it, guys, corto muso, and we're there. We're 1, 2 points ahead, and that's all we need. That's what's important is to have that advantage. Now, that does mean that against the smaller teams, you have to pick up the points, right? And we have been doing that against the smaller teams. And this is all useful for then when we drop these points against guys like Inter and etc. But we're in this position, guys, and we got to be happy with it. So, I mean, I 100% I agree that a draw is a good result. I don't want to I don't think we should be feeling disappointed in the way we play and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm sure there will be some comments in the chat that will be like that, but I just wanted to put out my opinion before. But let me put a poll. Are you satisfied with this performance and result? And then there will be a yes or no, and we can start the poll. And then you guys take your vote. Make sure you also smash that like button after you vote. Guys, let me get to some comments because enough of me blabbering on about Napoli. Let's see what you guys have to say. Let me get to some of the members' comments. So Laurento said, "Good draw. I'd be happy. Good draw." I said to myself, "I'd be happy with a draw." Helcom says, "Great result against clearly the best team in Italy for sure. Maybe our nerves got the better of us in certain moments, but this team gives me so much hope. P.S. Never a penalty, by the way." I couldn't agree more. And you know what? You don't even have to be the best team in Italy to win the Scudetto. It's not about just. It's not about necessarily playing better, and it's not about being the best team. It's about getting the most points. A case for this is the Milan team that won the Scudetto 3 years ago. I don't think that was the best team. They got super lucky in a handful of games and they won it. You don't have to be the best. You don't. You just have to be there at the right time, at the right moments. And this Napoli team, I think, is doing a pretty decent job apart from that 3-0 against Atalanta. But I mean, if you had told me you go to Inter away from home and you get a draw, you go to Juventus away from home and you get a draw, you go to Milan away from home and you get a win, I would say, where do I sign? Honestly. Laurentio says Simeone has to go, man. Yeah, I think he's probably the biggest loser today alongside Meret because we all know why Meret is considered, one of the biggest losers here. But yeah, I mean, Simeone, he had a chance to assert himself because Lukaku's not doing great right now. He had a stinker of a game, but then again, Lukaku didn't have chances today to even miss, whereas Simeone had a chance and he missed. So he's definitely walking away as one of the two biggest losers today from this Napoli team. Let me get to some of the other members. By the way, you are in 30 members. So, I mean, where is it? Where's my members page? These are my members, different pages, and there's already 30 of you guys. So Thank you a lot for that. Let me get to Gustavo's comments. Says Inter look like 2017 Real Madrid. Gilmore played really bad today, and how could Simeone miss that last shot? Yeah, I thought Gilmore played bad, and he got outmuscled by Thuram in one occasion, and it could have led to an Inter goal, and Buongiorno had to save him. But I think rather than bad, I just think he played to his level. I just think that's Gilmore's level, to be honest. I don't think it was good. I don't think it was necessarily bad. I just think he's not the type of guy who's supposed to be winning duels against someone like Marcus Thuram. So is it fair to mark him negatively for the way he's built? I mean, like we know what we bought, right? We bought a guy who's 5'6", or if you're from not the States, like 1 meter 70, maybe less. I mean, what chance does he have against Turam? You know, so it's not even worth saying, oh, he could have been more strong there. I mean, I don't know. Nicholas says, Meret is a puzzle to me. He saved us on countless occasions, and yet he makes just enough mistakes that it's hard to be fully confident in him. Look, guys, Meret is an incredible goalkeeper when it comes to close range shots and reflection saves and penalties. He's incredible at certain things, and he's really poor in others. He's really poor at long range shots. Fede Valverde last year, this one from Çalhanoğlu this year, and many, many, many others. Lookman last week, he is just not great at long range shots, and that's one of his weaknesses. Another weakness is that he doesn't come out to collect enough crosses. He's been working on that a little bit, but the thing about Meret, or the thing about players in general, or in this case, let's focus our attention on goalkeepers, is that you can definitely be very, very, very excellent at some things and very, very, very poor at some others. And Meret is just like that. He's excellent at some, very poor at others. There's other goalkeepers that are excellent at some things and then average everywhere else, or good at some things and average everywhere else, or good all round but not excellent anywhere. I mean, you have all different types of goalkeepers, right? I think Meret is one of the best at reflex saves, personally. But in other things, he's horrible. And that's just what we have, right? So it's not about him being inconsistent, because actually I think he's consistently bad at the things he's bad at, and he's consistently good at the things he's good at. It's just that depending on what's thrown at him during the game, it will affect whether one thing gets highlighted versus the other. That's my that's my reflection on Meret. I don't know if you guys are following that. But yeah, Gustavo was saying I don't think he had a bad game. I mean, I think he could have done a lot more with that save. I think it would have been a great save had he saved it, and he should have saved it, but I don't think it was necessarily the worst mistake he's done, because that shot from Çalhanoğlu was powerful. It had an effect. I think there's a lot more fault in the way that Napoli was organized on that attack from Inter. But I marked him down anyways for it. So yeah. Vincenzo says this is the art of war. Conte knows how to play these tough away games. At home, we can go more for the kill. I mean, we've got to do that though, even though, against Atalanta didn't work out. Let's see the next one against Roma, guys, how it's going to be, because obviously Roma are going to get the new manager bounce, and they're going to start playing like, incredible against us probably. Or Torino, 7 losses in a row. Then we play one game and then it's them. Let's see what happens with Torino when we play against them. But I mean, it would be incredible if they were to lose 9 out of 9. you know? Let's see. Mathematically speaking, it's difficult to imagine. We have to check once we get there. Even our Scudetto season, we lost this game despite playing more fluid. In fact, sometimes to get points against Inter, one might say you cannot play fluid. You have to play like this to get points versus Inter. This was the only way to get points versus Inter. Maybe this is exactly how we should have played. We are better than Arsenal, who lost to Inter. Spalletti got us biased. Yeah, I liked Parma's Boni for Vice Lukaku. He's very powerful and makes every defender suffer every time he holds up play. And Gilmour is still very young. I'm sure he can improve with time under Conte. For now, nobody will touch Lobotka. Lobotka didn't have a very good game. And about Parma's Boni, yeah, he's a great, great player. And we saw it as well. Let me get to some other comments, guys. Elda K is a bit critical of Napoli, saying that we shouldn't be playing like a championship team. We're making simple mistakes. I agree. We made too many mistakes, and I think if there's some, I think the way Conte plays, I have no problem with because it's pragmatic, it gets you points, and I'm all for points over style. If we can have points and style, great. What I don't like is mistakes because mistakes are not part of the plan. Mistakes have nothing to do with Conte's way, right? If you mess up a simple pass, that is a mistake. That is not, oh, we play bad football. No, that's a mistake, you know? It's not about enjoyable versus non enjoyable football. And I think some players today, like Anguissa, etc., made too many mistakes. Vincenzo Aiello says can't even play three passes, technical errors. We only work on defensive work. Look, too many mistakes again. I agree, but I think we're being too harsh. I think we're being too harsh. And like Paolo says, why so negative? I think we're just biased to the fact that we think we have to play like Spalletti to win a Scudetto. That's not true. There's many different ways. Not sure if Kvara is well fit for such a position. Is Kvara's fit for the strategy that Conte is pursuing? Looks like Conte's strategy is not to have pronounced wingers, rather to move the wingers towards the center. I don't think Kvara. I don't think Kvara at the center is a problem because that's where he plays with Georgia and he plays very well with Georgia. I just think that maybe the wingers in Conte's system are playing too far away from the goal. It's not about being too far on the left or too in the center. I think where they pick up the ball is too far back. And Conte asks a lot of them defensively. So that could be a little bit of a problem. And it's just the way that this formation is, right? And it's a different formation from the one that we started the year in. The one that we started the year in with three at the back, I think it really played to Lukaku's strengths. I think Kvara as well benefited from that. I think he had a great start to the season. This one here, with the four at the back, I think it just plays more into us being a bit more solid. It allows McTominay to be at the heart of the game, and I think Conte thinks that that's the main player for Napoli at the moment. I mean, he got the goal in the end. And so, yeah, I mean, the wingers just have to sacrifice themselves a little bit more. Paolo also says we're better than Lazio Fiorentina for sure. Look, they're playing well, especially Fiorentina are playing very well. Let's see what happens when we play them. Imagine we had Kim and Buongiorno, says Anthony. Yeah, imagine that. Super Alexandra says, with turtle midfield like this, without long passes, this team can't fight for the Scudetto, but Champions League is attainable. Let's see. I think this team is good enough to play attractive football against weaker opposition. It's just that we've played against Atalanta and Inter in the last two games, and they are at our level, if not better. And so that's why we've had to adapt and play a different style. And yeah, we're not an exciting team like Spalletti, but and it's not that we're not in form, right? It's not that once we're in form we could compete. It's this is the way Conte wants to play. We are in form. The players physically are doing fine. Um, yeah, I mean, why can't we compete for a Scudetto like this? Like, I don't understand your thought process when you say that we can't compete because last time I checked, this team has shown that over the last 12 games we can compete. So I'm struggling to see where these comments fit with the data, you know? I'm not getting the same feeling as some of you guys here. I think this team is very pragmatic, doesn't have beautiful style, but it's getting points. It's getting the points it needs. I don't know. Time will tell. And I'm not saying we will win the Scudetto. I'm just saying that I think this team can fight for the Scudetto. I think we'll be within 5 points of the Scudetto, whether we are below it or under it. It'll be within that plus or minus 5 points range. I don't see any other kind of scenario, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. Who would you replace Meret with? I would replace Meret with, well, it's hard to say because I don't think that there's goalkeepers now available that really stand out. I liked Di Gregorio last year when he was in a smaller club, but now he's at Juventus. So let's see who might be the standout goalkeeper of this season. Um, I don't know. The guy from Parma, Suzuki, not bad. He's a little bit crazy though. He got that red card against us, but not a bad goalkeeper. Um, but yeah, I don't think it would be a. I don't think the other goalkeepers are a huge step up from what we have. Um, I think to improve on what we currently have, we would have to go and get a goalkeeper from the top six teams in different leagues. So not easy, right? I mean, the only one that is not in the top six teams, which is really good, is the Georgian goalkeeper Mamashardvili, or sorry if I can't pronounce his name, at Valencia. But even though he's playing for a weak team, like this guy is considered one of the best, and so definitely a team like Liverpool or one of these bigger ones will go in and get him. Or we can get a guy like Lunin, right? He's at Real Madrid, but maybe he wants more playing time. He's seeing that Courtois is, kind of getting in his way. Maybe it could be an option, right? Getting a second goalkeeper from one of the elite teams could be another solution for us. Good job with that. Simeone shot should have come in. Neres didn't come on today. Weird, yeah, very weird that Neres couldn't find minutes. It's weird that Ngonja has been playing more than Neres in the last month. It could be, guys, that we don't know something about all this. Maybe has picked up a bit of an injury and Conte is managing him, or maybe Conte wants to play Ngonja because the winter transfer market is coming up, and this is a way to give him a bit of a spotlight so that teams will be tempted to buy him because maybe Conte doesn't want Ngonje. And this is actually a way to sort of get him out of the club, right? Because imagine if he plays 0 minutes, then no one's gonna want to go for him. But if other clubs see that, oh, Conte put him in the game against Inter and in this game and that game, then they might be tempted to ask him on loan or whatever, and then that liberates this player, you know? So it could be a tactic, as we head closer to the January transfer window. It could be just that Conte needs to just see this guy play because he's unsure of whether to keep him or not, whether he's good or not, and he just needs to give him the chances. And, sometimes it's just about that. Sometimes a coach needs to give someone two or three chances to really make up his mind. And maybe now he's made up his mind, and maybe it's a yes or a no. We'll see. And then from then on, maybe, if he's like, no, you know what? I gave Ngonja a chance. He didn't impress. Let's go back to Neres. Sometimes it's about that. But yeah, because probably Conte has already seen what Neres can do, right? We all know what Neres can do, and he just needs to understand, okay, but what can Ngonja give me, right? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Vincenzo has an interesting theory though about what's happening with Neres. I mean, that would be that would be pretty funny. But man, poor guy. I mean, he looks like he's high all the time. I mean, he must get that a lot. Like people just always assuming that he's high. Mamashvili went to Liverpool on loan at Valencia at the moment. Yeah, that's true. He is at Liverpool. That's very true. But that's why actually it came up in my mind when I said Mamashvili in Liverpool. I guess deep down I knew that that was a thing. But yes, you're right. Now I fully remember that that's what happened. So Vincenzo Vertillo says second half of the season I expect us to hit our stride and run away even more as our competition has big Champions League games. For now, we can't really ask for better given where we started from. That's also very true, right? I think something that's really benefiting us a lot is that the teams in the Serie A that we're up against, Juventus, Inter, Atalanta, they're doing decently well in the Champions League, and I think that they will all progress to the next round, and that will keep them quite busy. And, Inter have clearly been managing resources at the moment, playing their reserves in the Champions League, but that won't happen in knockout games. They will have to start playing their starters, and that will, be a bit of a problem for this aging Inter team. There's a reason why Inzaghi's not playing all these guys midweek. He's trying to manage, but can he do that in a quarterfinal? No, he can't. He's got to play the starters. That might have an effect on the title race come April, May, March. Let's see. Let's see. Guys, I will go into the analysis of the game, right? Let's get straight into it because it's late for some of you guys. So first of all, guys, buongiorno. What an incredible tackle here on the 16th minute of the game, getting his body where it needs to be. Incredible performance by Buongiorno. And yeah, I mean, for now, best player of the season for Napoli. I would say one of the best players in the Serie A for sure, even though there's quite a few shouts for that this season. And then we get straight to our goal, right? I mean, there was not really much happening apart from that. We go straight to our goal. We got a corner. And what's interesting here is kind of the movement and taking advantage of Inter's zonal marking. So as you can see, Inter is marking in a zone. They've got their players more or less lined up where they need to be. And then you've got a few Inter players that are marking man to man. The idea is the one that is being marked man to man, he has to make room for someone else who's in the same area where the interzonal players are. To start, he moves into where the other guy that's making the run is. I mean, you'll see it better with the pictures, right? Like the Napoli player with the yellow arrow moves in one direction, Rachmani moves into that space. The Inter player that is defending zonal has to make a big step out to defend that. Doesn't move in time because he's not really tight on Rachmani because he's trying to stay in his zone. So that gives Rachmani a bit of space to, make that little tap for then mctominay to also take advantage, and we get a goal. And yeah, it's a corner. It's not fluid football. It's not, but it's well prepared. It's well studied. It's well prepared. It's well executed. Everybody did the right movements. We took advantage of Inter's zonal marking. So, credit to Napoli where credit's due. And McTominay, again, shows that he's a big game player. Always present in the big games, was potentially also going to be present against Atalanta. I mean, he hit that post 2 minutes after Atalanta scored the first goal. And I mean, if that goal had gone in, it would have been a totally different game, right? So McTominay is showing that he's there. I want to get to this comment here. Hi Dom, I've only been subscribed to you for roughly 3 to 4 weeks now, but I must say that I enjoy your analytical reviews and inputs. I'm warming up to more Napoli with each live stream. Awesome, man. I hope you enjoy more and more Napoli talk videos, guys. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Right, then we get to this chance here where Napoli could have made it 2-0. And if we had made it 2-0, it would have been then a completely different game. And this is where Lukaku messes up for me. So look, he sees Kvara making a run and he tries to put him too much through on goal. And it allows the Inter players to intercept, right? But what if he had done this pass here? What if he had done this sideways pass and feed it more into Kvara's run, right? And into less into the space here in between the defenders and more on the outside, then maybe it would have been harder for the Inter defenders to come and intercept it. So for me, that was a mistake by Lukaku. Meret, he made a few of these kind of saves. This one on Acerbi saves it with his foot on the front post. He makes a similar one against Di Marco later on. But then this is where Inter score and Meret makes, let's say, a mistake. So I want to start off with how Inter and Napoli kind of started this whole action here. So what we see is something that we've seen before, that it's actually Anguissa pressing a little bit higher, almost on the same line as Lukaku when Inter have the ball in their own half, right? We've seen it with other teams that we play against. Now, what's interesting is also Çalhanoğlu's starting position, very, very sort of far away on the right. And if you, spoiler alert, have seen the goal, he's on the left-hand side of Inter's maneuver. So Çalhanoğlu is someone who likes to drift around and it's hard to be picked up. So anyways, we see Anguissa's position here. And then we see when Inter have the ball in our final third, it's actually McTominay that picks up Çalhanoğlu, or should be picking up Çalhanoğlu. He's the one marking him. And Anguissa, instead, is going to fill the box and be that extra defender, right? Why? Because look at the situation in the box. There is a 3 versus 3 where every Inter player is marked by a Napoli player. Then you have Rachmani, Gilmour, and Di Lorenzo covering the space to block Inter from playing cute little passes into the box, right? The problem is that that's too many people now in the defensive line. It's almost like Napoli are playing 6 at the back at this point, because it's those 3 plus the 3 that are in the circle. And McTominay doesn't move forward to cover Çalhanoğlu, because he's thinking, if I move too close to Çalhanoğlu, I've got Barella behind me who's going to drift into that number 10 position. So McTominay has to stay where he is. The only thing McTominay can do is try to call on his teammates with his hand, guys, you have to go and cover him. Now, who's supposed to go and cover him? Is it supposed to be Lukaku? But then we drop too many bodies deep. Is it supposed to be Politano? But Politano's already trying to manage Bastoni. He's already trying to cover also the passing lane between Bastoni and that other Inter player that's at the edge of the box, at the corner of the box. There is also potentially Gilmore, but Gilmore is also controlling that pass towards the edge of the box. So what Inter did really well is that they forced Napoli into 6 men at the back, and we didn't have enough in the midfield to cover Çalhanoğlu. And when Çalhanoğlu finally receives the ball, Gilmore at this point, who's circled, you see he's pointing with his right hand to Di Lorenzo to say, pick up the man behind me because I'm going to have to go and press Çalhanoğlu. But he cannot do that before Di Lorenzo comes in a bit more. So he tells Di Lorenzo to come closer and help him out. So that's why Di Lorenzo's run is labeled number 1, because that's the first thing that the Napoli players need to do. And then Gilmore, once Di Lorenzo has taken a few steps, then Gilmore can immediately go and close down Çalhanoğlu. So a lot of people might point out, oh, why didn't Gilmore immediately go and press Çalhanoğlu? He couldn't. He had to wait for Di Lorenzo to make a move, because otherwise he would have exposed that space behind him too much. And why Di Lorenzo couldn't make that move earlier? Because Di Lorenzo was marking Di Marco. You see, Inter have 5 players in a very offensive position and 2 players as a number 10, Çalhanoğlu and Barella. It's very hard to defend. And unfortunately, this just means that, Çalhanoğlu has the time and space to take the shot. And, credit to Inter, because they play to their strengths. They know that this is one of Çalhanoğlu's strengths, and they play around it. They make it so that this happens, right? So, yeah. Then after that, this shot, look, Meret's position is not great. But you can see already from this angle and from where Çalhanoğlu is standing at the top of your screen that this shot has swerved a lot. To get to where the ball is now, it has to have gone through a few different players, swerving to the right. It's difficult. Meret could have done more. He could have tipped that much more over the bar. He could have gotten a stronger hand to it, and his positioning could have been better. But I must say that Inter played this to perfection. The way that they move the ball around, the way that they've got the right people in the right areas of the field, and they've played it in such a way that Çalhanoğlu had the time and space to take that shot. So for me, I see this more as a great goal by Inter, and by Inter I mean by Simone Inzaghi, because this was a tactical goal. This was planned to give Çalhanoğlu that space. It's a great goal, great piece of tactical mastery by Inzaghi. Then obviously Çalhanoğlu had to make a great shot, so a great piece of work by Çalhanoğlu. And we could have done better, but I think credit to Inter as well. I think this is 75% credit to Inter and 25% Meret could have done better. But I think this is a great Inter maneuver. Right, then, our midfield struggled a little bit here, like in the second half. Billy Gilmore losing the ball to Thuram. I don't want to, as I said at the start, right? I don't want to give Gilmore a bad rating for his lack of physicality. I mean, he's just born that way. It's very tough for me to say, he should have done more. I mean, Really? He should have done more against Thuram, who's 20 centimeters taller than him and has maybe 20 kilos more of muscle. It's very difficult. But you can see why a minute later Lobotka came on, right? Because Lobotka, it's not like he's a physical specimen that's much different from Billy Gilmore, but at least he's got enough experience on his side to make sure that he doesn't put himself in those kind of positions. I think maybe what Gilmore could have done here is maybe pass the ball to his teammates earlier so that he wouldn't even be put in this position. But I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh on him. Anyways, Buongiorno deals with it amazingly and wins the ball off Marcus Thuram. Again, here, Meret makes a good save. Look, Meret's not bad. Not a bad goalkeeper. He's not bad, guys. He's a good goalkeeper when it comes to normal shots inside the box. It's just that outside the box, he's not able to judge the flight of the ball very well. Um, and he needs to improve his positioning from long range. Then comes, guys, this penalty, which is super soft. Look, Di Lorenzo didn't get a penalty the other game for a clear step on foot, or was it Politano, where there was physical contact of one guy's foot clamping down on, I can't remember if it was Di Lorenzo or Politano. This was Anguissa slightly touching the outside of Dumfries, not tripping him, just slightly touching him, and Dumfries coming in like a train, no intention to even get the ball. He's so far away. Look, Dumfries is already past the ball. This is why I don't think it's ever a penalty. Dumfries, he's carrying momentum, he's carrying speed, and he's already gone past the ball. He has no intention to play the ball. His only intention is to get his body somewhere near Anguissa. He knows that Anguissa is going to try to protect the ball. If he can run into the back of Anguissa's leg, then maybe he can try to get a penalty, and that's what happens. But you can see here, guys, that his foot is already past the ball. So he's missed the ball. He has no intention to touch it. He doesn't touch it, and he has no intention. He just comes flying in, and somehow this is a penalty. And it's a disgrace. And I've said it at the start of the video. There is also so many occasions where the referee or linesman didn't give them offsides, and then they ended up getting corners or whatever, and we had to defend these corners. And if they had scored on any of these, it would have been a goal. But this here is this is a ridiculous penalty. And I think we have to be more consistent on, is every contact in the box a penalty? If so, why didn't we get the one where Politano or Di Lorenzo's foot got stepped on? Otherwise, let's start evaluating challenges in the box a bit more with context and really seeing, was this player making an attempt for the ball? Could he have gotten the ball? Or was he just trying to win a penalty? This is very clear to me that Dumfries is just trying to win a penalty. Mike, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Says you have to choose between Milan or Inter. Why Forza Napoli sempre? If I had to choose between supporting Milan or Inter, it's a bit of a tough one. It's a bit of a tough one. Look, I would I would probably pick I would probably pick Inter between Milan and Inter. Um, just because Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's just, yeah. I mean, there's no reason, right? I mean, I don't like either of them. I think if I had to choose, I would probably pick Inter. I think I had more friends growing up that were Inter fans, so I think I would be then more in the Inter kind of group over Milan. But I mean, I don't really want to support either of them. I can't really imagine myself doing that. Eric Mauricio says between Milan or Inter, you're choosing between two bad sizes. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Who would you guys pick, Milan or Inter? I'd like to know in the comments. Let me put that as a poll. By the way, let me end this other poll. Are you satisfied with this performance? 82% said yes. So that's interesting. Let me start a poll. I like that question from Mike. Would you support Inter or Milan? I never thought about it. So it's an interesting question. Let's see what you guys would say. Oh, sorry guys. I gave you guys two options and then I put yes or no. That's really stupid of me. Let's start it. Let's put that again. You support would you support Inter or Milan? Inter Milan. Okay. Sorry. That was not a yes or it's just habits, that the answers are yes or no. I don't say no. That is that is pretty funny. Maybe that's what was the right answer. Just no. But yeah, good question. Guys, I am approaching 5K subscribers. I'm not sure if I've reached it or not, because I know that I need like 30. It's very hard to get more than like 10 subscribers for video for me. So yeah, I have 4,972. So I need 28 more. So realistically, guys, it's gonna happen in the next 2 or 3 videos. Why it takes me so long to get new subscribers? It's because I need to publish more. I need to comment more on videos. I need to do a lot more things. But you guys know my work week. It's pretty crazy. I finish work very late, so it's usually like 14 hours of work or something. So then I've got no time to do anything else. Um, so yeah, let's see. Gustavo Bra says Milan because they had Kaká and Dinho. Yeah, I mean they had good players to watch. They had very good players. And if you were growing up in that era, and you know, that was a little bit kind of the era that I was growing up in. First Kaká, then Dinho, Ronaldinho. Yeah, I mean Kaká, man. I mean that 2007 season, he was phenomenal. I can't stand either at all. I guess there's two Americans on Milan. Not, yeah, maybe you go for, whether there's a player of your nationality there or not. I don't know. Ciao Dom, it's 9:30 a.m. in Adelaide, Australia. Listening to your show at work. I love your work, guys. Smash that little button or that like button. Forza Napoli sempre. Inter, I'll never forget Milan. We should have made it to the Champions League final. Yeah, that was bad memories. The penalty should have been a foul for Lobotka. Yeah, 100% agree. Anyways, move on with what happened in the game. So, yeah, that was never a penalty. Çalhanoğlu luckily misses it. And then I want to focus our attention to this, right? Because it was very interesting leading up to the game, guys. There was this thing about the last time Napoli won against Inter at the San Siro was with Callejon. And as you guys know, guys, Callejon was very famous for that type of run. Let me just extend the screen here because I, yeah, I was cutting out a section there. Callejon would always make this kind of run, no, in the second post. And this is something that we need to do more. Because had Ngonje made that run, what would have happened was that Darmian would have had to go back to cover it if he wanted to cover it. And then it would have exposed that Inter defender. I can't see from here, it's too far away. If I don't know if that's De Vries or Acerbi or I don't know what, might be Acerbi. It would have exposed them to two players, to Simeone and Anguissa. And Anguissa could have maybe gone into the space in between Acerbi and Darmian, with Darmian shifting over more to the right. This is the sort of thing that Ngonje needs to be aware of. And this is what separates for me a good player from a great player. Because Ngonje staying in this position, he's staying there because that's where he's comfortable. He's not comfortable making a run inside the box and in the second post and putting a header. He doesn't feel confident there. Where he feels confident is outside the box so that he can shift the ball to his left foot and curl it in. Okay? But he doesn't understand that that's not what we need right now. What we need right now, when Kvara cuts inside to his right foot, is for him to make this run. Because then we need to trigger this movement from Darmian, and it gives Anguissa and Simeone a chance if Kvara puts the ball anywhere near the second post. It could go to Ngonje, it could go to Kvara, it could go to Anguissa, or it could go to Simeone, but it would be a 3 versus 2 situation. And we throw that away. We throw that away, or we don't even attempt it because Ngonje wants to stay here. Because these players do not have the intelligence to think it's not about what's best for me, but it's about what's best for the team. And what's best for the team right now is a 3 versus 2 inside the box. You know? I don't know if you guys agree with this. I mean, when I make these analyses, I could be right, I could be wrong. Maybe Conte has told them not to do it, but I'm just thinking, if this was me, where Ngonje was, I would be flying, absolutely flying in that second post and screaming for Kvara to put a cross anywhere near that second post. Because I would know that then it would be 3 versus 2. It would be Acerbi and Darmian against Simeone, Anguissa, and Ngonje. And it's like, guys, come on. Think a little bit. Like, read the game, read the situation. Don't just think, I want to stay in this position because this is where I'm comfortable and this is where I can make the most impact. It's not about you and your skills. It's about putting yourself in the right position for the team. So yeah, I think Ngonje should have made that run. It would have been 3 versus 2. But these players, they don't think in the moment. Ciao, Zio. Hi, Dom. Another step to rebuild a great team. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what we need. A draw away from home. Now it's a draw versus Inter, a draw versus Juve, and a win against Milan away from home. And we build from here, and we're first, guys. We are top of the table. And guys, this is something that if I showed you this 12 games ago or 11 games ago, imagine after Verona, I showed you this, you wouldn't have believed it. You would have said, no way. But this is the table, guys, and it's very tight. Look, I mean, we are 2 points ahead of Juventus, who's sixth. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy Serie A at the moment, and it can go any direction. 1 week you could be first, and the next week you can be sixth. But this is great. It's great. I mean, it makes it super interesting. Also because while we might drop some points here and there, it's very likely that now this year teams like Inter start dropping points against Fiorentina or against Lazio, which is maybe something that didn't happen last year, where Fiorentina and Lazio were not as competitive. So everything becomes a bit more balanced, and it's going to make a very, very interesting season. And I think Milan, even though they are not a great team, they're not they're not done yet. They're one game behind. They have 11 games, not 12. So potentially they could be at 21 points. And while that is a little bit lower than everybody else, it's only 5 behind us with many, many games still to go. And because they've also have a new coach like us, there's a lot of room for improvement for them. So this could very well be a race of 7 teams for the title. 7 teams, guys, is crazy. I don't think we've ever had anything like this in recent years. Eric says the Serie A is crazy and Napoli is leader and people is asking for Sarri ball. Yeah, look, people want always something more. Um, I think we just have to be super happy about being in this position because, guys, last year we were not anywhere close to this. So, yeah, we just have to be very, very happy with what we have. Guys, I want to go into not this, but the player ratings. So, look, Lukaku 4.5, not because he missed chances or anything like that, but he lost every single duel against Acerbi, and that's just not good enough. Just not good enough. Um, Acerbi's 36 now, 37. You have to do a little bit better against Acerbi. And I know Acerbi has pocketed Haaland and all that, but I don't know. I mean, he's Acerbi, guys. I mean, Haaland maybe wasn't prepared. I can imagine that maybe for Haaland it was the first time going up against such a strong classical Italian center back. But Lukaku, he knows Acerbi. How can you still not manage to do anything against him? It baffles me. And Meret 4.5 because yes, he had a few good saves, but to be honest, he could have done more with that goal. I don't think it was a huge mistake, but it was a mistake, a small mistake, but a costly mistake. So, yeah. Everybody else, guys, pretty average. There was no one that really stood out to me. Every player made some good decisions, some bad decisions, some good moments here and there, some better moments could have happened here and there, except for the defense, right? The defense, I think, was very solid. So Oliveira, Di Lorenzo up against wingers that pushed a lot. They did extremely well. But I think our center backs deserve a special shout out. Buongiorno was incredible. That save on Pavard, that one-on-one against Turam, incredible. 8.5 for Buongiorno, his best performance maybe of the season. And 8 also to Rachmani, who looked strong, who took a lot of risks coming out of the defensive line, putting pressure on Lautaro Martinez. I mean, this is a good couple. It's a good partnership. They complement each other very, very well. So, yeah, very good job by them. 8.5 and 8 to the both of them. Mike, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Thoughts on where Atalanta will finish? I think Atalanta will finish third. Third Atalanta. Too severe with Meret. And see, maybe, but I don't know. It's a small mistake. It's not a big mistake. It's small because it was a good shot by Çalhanoğlu, but it was decisive. It was unfortunately the thing that made us lose points. So I don't know, but maybe it's too severe. Maybe that this calls for another poll. I will end this current one and let's ask the question to everybody. I'm gonna ask the question: what rating does Meret deserve? I will let you guys choose. So 4 to 5, 6, 7 plus. Let's see. I want to ask you guys whether you think it's more of a 6, whether you think he had a good game and it's a 7, or anything more. Let's see. A lot of your votes are coming in. 4 and 5 for me is like the same. You're basically giving Meret the fault. 6 means average. L.K says 6.5. Yes, I know. I mean, I could have put all the point 0.5, but I can only put 3 or 4 different answers, so I had to be a bit more generic. But if you think it's a 6.5, then maybe put a 6, because no one is going to put 7, or very few people are putting 7. So if you put it to 7, you're losing an opportunity to be decisive with your votes. It's almost wasted. So the fight is between 6 and beneath 6. So you have to choose wisely if you think it's a 6.5. Alex says I would give a 4. Uncle Sharma, I know you're hating this park the bus football, bro. Uh, look, man, I can't complain. I can't complain with how Conte is playing. If he gives me the points, then I'm happy, right? And I think it's not easy to play beautiful football against Inter. This is a place where when we've tried to play beautiful football like with Spalletti and all that, we lost because Inter responds to you having the ball with getting in your face, putting in tackles, and then they hit you on the counter. You've got spaces everywhere. It's super difficult to play against Inter trying to play beautiful football. It's just not going to work. You're going to lose. And this is credit to how Inter play, right? They're so good at taking advantage of that. If you want to get anything out of Inter, you got to play a little bit more tight. You got to, be a bit more Conte-esque. But man, I mean, Uncle Sharma, bro, you've got to admit that that penalty was soft, man. Dumfries had no intention of even getting the ball. This guy just ran in, and I mean, guys, we can't be giving out penalties like this. I'm super happy that it didn't contribute to the game, but the guy had no intention to play the ball. He ran. He was gonna run. If Anguissa didn't touch him, he would have ran past the ball. He would have just missed the ball completely. I mean, it's incredible. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm sure Inter are really, really upset with this, and I can't help but smile at this result. So let's see. I think 6. I'll end the poll 6-1. So with 50% of the votes, they win the election. I'm gonna do something, and I'm gonna change Meret's rating to a 6 then. All right. I never I don't never do this. I don't often do this. So let me put 6 on Meret. And guys, this is all post-production. It's not on Photoshop. So why is my 6 the opposite way? That doesn't make any sense. There we go. Meret 6. Okay. Ignore the 4.5. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna cross it out. How can I cross it out? I'm gonna do another text and go like that. And I'm gonna put that here. Wait, let me edit this. Sorry guys, I'm figuring this out on the spot. One sec. There. Fixed. Met 6. You guys won. Democracy won. See, I'm not a dictator. You know, I listen to my people. Idle's corner says 6. He handled everything else well. One mistake with a long shot specialist doesn't make it a 4.5, and also went the right way for the penalty. The went the right way for the penalty, I don't know if you can give him credit for that. I mean, it's a guess. No? I mean, I've never seen anyone give credit to a goalkeeper for going the right way. Like, how can you prove that that was intentional? You can't give credit to someone. You can't give credit to someone because because he gets the right way. You can give credit if they save it, right? But there's an initial luck element of having gone the right. Like I don't know. I mean, yeah, could he maybe have read Çalhanoğlu's body language and known that his hips and shoulders were slightly pointing in one? Maybe, maybe. Um, but it's not like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's not like we can prove it, right? I can't really give him that as an extra point. Like, imagine he had gone the other way, then you wouldn't have given him less points because he went the wrong way, right? I like no goalkeeper has ever been penalized for going the wrong way. So, yeah, I don't know. He covered the area that he would have needed if he didn't hit the post. I don't know. I don't think he would have saved it. If we go back to I don't think he would have saved it. That shot could have been a little less angled and it would have gone in. I don't think Meret had the stretch to go anywhere near the post. You know, if that hit the post and went in, I don't know. I don't think this would have been a great. What I'm trying to say is, if Çalhanoğlu hit it where he wanted to hit it, it it wouldn't have been a save. You know, so I don't know. But anyways, I'm not trying to hate on Meret. You guys know that I don't hate him. There's other people that really, you know, they criticize Meret a lot. I've kind of always supported Meret. I did that in the other videos as well. I don't know why today I was a bit harsh. Maybe he's just frustrated that it was his fault. Or not his fault, because we established it's not really his fault, but just frustrated that maybe he could have done a little bit better. Anyways, guys, let's go to the press conference, and then I gotta go to bed. Uh, let's see what Conte says. Yeah, guys, Osimhen is playing really well, eh? At Galatasaray. And I'm surprised that the coach is playing him and Icardi up top, both of them. Now Icardi's injured, so it's just Osimhen. But I'm surprised that there was this moment where they were both playing. I would have never thought that that would have worked because we've never seen Osimhen with another striker next to him because we've never wanted to do that with Simeone and him. But yeah, he was playing very well like that. And this weekend as well, he scored some goals. Yeah, I've been following him a little bit. It's good for us, guys. It's very good that he's scoring goals. I mean, that's what we want, right? We want his value to stay up. Maybe Galatasaray will buy him. I mean, it seems like he's having fun there. Anyways, let's go to Conte's press conference. I'll get a bit of water, guys, while we do that. All right, Conte. So they ask him tonight, this point that you have, is it what's worth more, this point that keeps you first in the table or this reaction after the Atalanta game? And he says, look, the game against Atalanta, we have to think that over the course of a season, something like that can happen, right? They won against, for example, Stoccarda. I keep forgetting Stuttgart. They won against Stuttgart, who won against Juventus, for example. So they're a good team. We didn't lose against a weak team, but we lost against a team that's in the Champions League, that's doing well in the Champions League. We could have maybe done a little bit better, but the important is that today we did a good game with intensity. We put pressure on Inter. We got stuck in with the fights. And yeah, maybe we did a little bit of a few mistakes here and there with the way that we passed the ball around from the back. We lost the ball quite a bit. But you know, playing against Inter at the San Siro is not easy. And you know, in the end, I'm very happy because against Juve, Inter, and Milan, we left with 5 points away from home. So yeah, very happy with that. And they ask him what kind of bothered you throughout the game. Um, and yeah, he says, look, what bothers me is that VAR couldn't intervene for the penalty. If there's a mistake, then they have to intervene. Um, for example, Kvara was pushed by two hands in an earlier match of the season, and VAR didn't intervene because it's one of those things that the referee sees it from the field and he makes a decision, but it's completely wrong. If there's a penalty, then the VAR has to intervene. So, you know, he's bringing up past mistakes of VAR and, you know, saying that now it's quite a few times that we didn't get that decision our way. They say, you know, Napoli has been very solid after 12 match days. What is the data point that's been the most important, or what is the thing that's been the most important? And he says, in the last few games, Politano was playing a bit deeper. Today he was higher up the field, and we defended at four at the back against five attacking players from Inter. Different people asked me why Politano had dropped deeper. Today, I left him higher up the field, and we still had quite a good bit of solidity at the back. He's a very important player, and you know he's crucial to us to not conceding goals. And he showed that he can play both a bit deeper and a bit more higher, like today, and it's still fine. But we have to keep working. We are at a good point right now. But today I'm quite upset with this thing about VAR. Not so much for the decision itself, but for how VAR is used. Um, you know, if there's a mistake, VAR has to step in. So yeah, that's what Conte is saying. You know, it's like this whole thing about the VR can only intervene if it's a clear and obvious mistake. I mean, why does the mistake have to be clear and obvious? Or why does it have to be that for touches that relate to, you know, things that could be 50-50, why is the referee not going back and looking at the image? You know, all these things in the protocol are not very clear and they're not nice. So yeah, he says, we could have lost the game because of this. We have to take away this protocol. We have to take away all these things. And he says, I want honesty. So that's what he's saying. That's what he wants. So yeah, I don't know, guys. I agree with him. I agree. I don't know why VAR works the way it does. It seems like a very inefficient kind of system, and yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird, right? That they think that they think that this is a good protocol at the moment. Whoever it is that's in charge, whether it's the Serie A, whether it's UEFA or FIFA, it's a very weird system that they've got in place. It's almost like they want there to be a bit of a gray area. It's almost like they want the referee to be able to use hmm, their point of view as a deciding factor. It's very weird in a time and age where there's cameras everywhere and you can rewatch the action a million times to get a better view. I don't know. And look, players are going to complain anyways, right? Anytime there's a contact in the box and it goes one way or the other, players are going to go up to the referee and complain, and you're going to waste time. So I think a better approach would be you think it's a penalty, you blow the whistle, and then you immediately go and rewatch it on the screen. So you stop the play and then you go and watch it on the screen. And you don't even entertain that discussion that he had for a minute with Di Lorenzo. Because I think what they're doing is that they're saying, oh, but if we were to stop every time if there's a potential penalty, we would waste a lot of time. But you waste time anyways because players go and complain. Also, like, I would rather waste a minute extra and get the decision right instead of, you know, having that doubt that maybe I got the decision wrong. I think referees should embrace VAR a bit more. And VAR should be part of the game a lot more. It should be for things that are also, like for example, those offside decisions that weren't given that later led to Inter corners. Why can't we use VAR to stop the play if we know that it's offside and not give Inter that corner? What's the problem with stopping the game for 10 seconds? It makes no sense. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think Conte's right. 100%. I agree with what he has to say. 100% agree with Conte there. Anyways, guys. Oh, Danny's in the house. Keep grinding, Dom. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it, man. Um, and Gunsad. Oh my God, I am destroying your name. And Guntsatsit. Oh wow, I hope I got that name right. It says, Dom, did you live in English-speaking country where the perfect English comes from? Definitely, I did not grow up in Georgia because I cannot pronounce any of your names from Georgia. I think you're from Georgia. But yeah, I grew up in English speaking countries. That's why. I grew up in Asia where they speak English, and then 8 years in the UK, and yeah, so yeah, a lot of a lot of different countries in my history. Super Alexander says, so sad we wasted over 50 million last year on Lindstrom, Kayuste, and Nathan. Lindstrom and Kayuste feel like a lot of waste. Everton fans are complaining about Lindstrom as well. He's not making any impact. Kayuste is not even playing. Nathan, I think let's give Nathan a bit more time. I think Nathan has potential at least to recover the investment that we spent. What did we spend? 5, 10 million? I can't remember if it was 5 or 10. But at least I think we will recover that money because he's young, he's got a lot of room for improvement, and I think he is improving. But Lindstrom and Cayuste, we won't recover that money. We won't recover. Andrea Aveta says the problem with VR is how the Italian Association sees it. They mark refs down if VAR corrects their mistake. Well, I did not know that. That is interesting. That explains everything, right? There you go. It's all about guys, it's all about KPIs. They've got a KPI to meet, otherwise they get marked down. Yeah, that's sad. This this is tough. This is tough to have like to process. That an entire championship that's so close right now. You guys seen how tight it is with the table right now. 7 teams are fighting for this championship, and it might be decided because one ref doesn't want to get marked down for using VAR more than he should. It's ridiculous, guys. But let that sink in. That's tough. That's tough. Mike Ekstad says, I'm a big Bundesliga fan and Lindstrom wasn't even on my radar at the time. He was good, but not that good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, Lindstrom, I think he's that classic player that he was part of a team that made a lot of players stand out that season. Kamada as well. I mean, they got even Götze to look good, and Götze is a finished player. It's been finished for years, and he somehow managed to look decent, with that Eintracht team. So he was just part of a system that worked really well for the attackers, and yeah, we got screwed big time, big time. But it's okay. We move. We've we move past that. We don't want to talk about Lindstrom, Kayuste, and Nathan. We didn't get back 10 million for Nathan. No, we didn't get back because he's on a loan. But I'm saying I think we will be able to recover this money in the future with Nathan. Anyways, guys, I am exhausted. This live has been going on for more than an hour 20. So thank you a lot to everybody that participated, everybody that commented, everybody that subscribed. If you are new to the channel, then, thank you for subscribing. And guys, let me end this again by reiterating that we are top of the table, above Inter, above Atalanta, above Fiorentina, above Lazio, above Juve, above Milan, above everybody, guys, after 12 points. And that's not to say that next week or whenever we get back to playing football, it's going to keep being this way because it's so tight there. But what we can say is that at this moment in time, we're top, and it's a great feeling. It's great. So I'm gonna leave it like that. And as always, guys, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.